My name is Anna. I used to work at a publishing company where I was responsible for editing novels, weekly magazines, and monthly magazines. I've always loved reading books since I was a child, so being able to work at a publishing company was a dream come true, and I enjoyed my work tremendously. Perhaps because of that, I had been quite distant from romantic relationships. One day, my colleague Barbara invited me to a group blind date, and that's where I met Bruno, a man who worked at a real estate agency. We quickly hit it off, partly because we had both lost our parents at a young age and also because we were from the same hometown. It didn't take long for us to start dating. Both Bruno and I were only children, so we valued our personal time and appreciated the fact that we didn't need to be possessive of each other. We got along very well, without any fights, and time passed smoothly. We got married when we were both 30 years old. We didn't have a wedding ceremony, just a registration. We celebrated by having a slightly luxurious meal at a restaurant, just the two of us. Unfortunately, we were not blessed with children. However, we both had fulfilling jobs and were able to cherish our free time together. That's what I believed. I underwent a routine health checkup every year, and when I was 33 years old, an unexpected result came out during the examination. There was a shadow in my lungs, and upon further examination and hospitalization, the doctor said,
"There's quite a bit of fluid accumulated in your lungs. I'll conduct a cell examination."
I was extremely anxious and said, "Doctor, there's so much fluid. But I haven't felt any discomfort, and nothing has changed."
"I can't say anything without conducting the examination. By the way, what about your family?"
The doctor asked. "My husband is at work." In the end, the hospitalization and examination took about 2 days, and I did inform my husband about it. I received an email saying, "Understood. Dear best," but during that time, my husband didn't come to the hospital even once. Well, it was a hospitalization for tests. Bruno must have been busy with work, and we weren't the type of couple who were always together, so I didn't really mind that my husband didn't come to the hospital. And then, the day of the test results arrived. The result was stage 4 lung adenocarcinoma. "Doctor, I was feeling perfectly fine. So is it possible for something like this to happen?" I didn't have any pain at all.
It varies from person to person, but some people don't experience symptoms. Sometimes, it progresses without you noticing.
And then, it was explained that surgery was not an option and that I would undergo treatment with medication. "Doctor, how much longer can I live? Eventually, the chemotherapy won't be effective, right?" Having lost my parents to cancer, I was concerned about the time I had left.
With stage 4, and this advanced, maybe about 10 months. This medication is meant to suppress the growth of cancer cells. But there are people who remain well for more than 10 months. So, stay positive.
The doctor said that, but staying positive is quite difficult.
In any case, talk to your husband. Fighting cancer requires the cooperation of the family.
Bruno would be surprised. But I have to talk to him properly. What should I say? I still couldn't believe deep down in my heart that I had cancer, and I went home with a feeling as if I were in a dream. As if what happened at the hospital wasn't real. When I arrived home, with an indescribable sense of helplessness, I prepared dinner and waited for my husband to come back. Oh, come to think of it, it's been a while since I cooked dinner and waited for Bruno to come back. Even before my hospitalization for tests, both my husband and I were busy with work, and we always had separate dinners. Sometimes we would just eat out, so it had been a while. I should make Bruno's favorite dishes. He likes hamburgers, curry, and egg tarts. All the things a child would enjoy. I finished preparing a dinner that resembled a children's meal, and all that was left was to wait for my husband to return. I made dinner. Don't you want to eat? What time do you think you'll be back? I sent a message, but he didn't come back for a while, and there was no reply to my message. I thought maybe we could talk about it tomorrow since he must be tired today. As I was about to go to bed, my husband finally came back.
I'm home. You were still awake.
I sent you a message. I was waiting for you. Today, I got the results of the re-examination, and I wanted to talk about it.
Sorry, I didn't notice. Was it today? So, what happened?
Feeling a bit irritated by Bruno's apparent lack of interest, I told him, I have stage 4 lung adenocarcinoma. They said surgery is not possible, so they will control it with medication. I have about 10 months left.
And I see. That's all my husband said. There was silence for a while. Then he said, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Huh? Aren't you going to eat? I made your favorite dishes and was waiting for you.
Oh, sorry. I ate out, so I don't need it.
My husband went to sleep right away. I was really frustrated with his attitude, and I didn't feel like going to the bedroom. I spent the night in another room, unable to fall asleep. Finally, in the early hours of the morning, I started to doze off when I heard the sound of the front door closing with a bang. When I went out of the room to see, my husband had already left. What's this? Can't you say anything? Feeling unsettled, I also went to work. I arrived at the office, but I couldn't focus on anything, and I couldn't even report about my illness to the company.
You look pale, are you okay?
My concerned colleague Barbara approached me and spoke up. Yeah, I couldn't sleep well last night. I also felt dizzy.
If it's too tough, you should go home. It's rare to see you looking unwell like this. You've been busy lately, so sometimes it's good to go home early.
Taking comfort in Barbara's words, I ended up going home that day. As I arrived at the apartment and checked the mailbox, there was only one letter. Looking at the address, it said to Anna. It was written in Bruno's handwriting. I see. That's right. It must have been a shock for him too, suddenly receiving a life expectancy diagnosis for his wife. He must have chosen to convey it through a letter because he couldn't say it directly. Thinking that, I wiped away the overflowing tears and opened the envelope. What I saw inside made me unable to believe it, and I collapsed to my knees.
Anna, there's no point in us being together. I'll come to pick up my things later.
To my surprise, inside the envelope, along with a short letter consisting of just 2 lines, was a divorce form. What is this? All I had to do was write my name. My mind went blank. I only have 10 months left to live, and now I'm being abandoned by my husband. Why? What did I do wrong? I feel like I've been pushed off a cliff, and I remained stunned for a while. I tried calling my husband multiple times, but I couldn't get through. I couldn't even speak to him because there was no reception. I sent emails, but there was no reply, and the morning came as always. I couldn't sleep at all again. Thinking that, the phone rang, and as I looked at the screen, it was an incoming call from my husband, Bruno. Why? What does this mean? Why would you say there's no point in us being together?
Well, Anna, how many times do you think we've had dinner together this past year? Only 3 times. With that, there's no point in us being married, let alone living together, right? We should both be free.
But Bruno, you used to encourage me in my work. I had things I wanted to talk to you about too. I wanted more time together, but I thought we understood each other. Besides, Bruno, you used to come home late every day. After a short silence, my husband spoke again.
Anyway, it's just not possible anymore. Even if they say it's stage 4, it's too heavy for me.
Let's part ways. That's cruel. How can you say such things? I couldn't find any more words. Well then, Anna, I'm hanging up now. How cold. Is this the person I married? Maybe I didn't understand Bruno at all. As I looked at the divorce papers that Bruno had thrust upon me, a mixture of frustration and anger welled up, and I burst into tears. The next morning, my eyes were swollen from crying, with puffy and bloodshot eyelids. I stared at my own face in the mirror, feeling pathetic, heartbroken, and overwhelmed by sadness. It was the face of someone who had hit rock bottom in life. But as I looked at my own face, something strange happened. I found myself laughing, despite everything. The laughter that welled up suddenly turned into loud laughter. Then, somehow, I felt a sense of relief, and it all seemed ridiculous. What am I doing? I'm going to die anyway, so nothing matters anymore. I don't know if it's a feeling of pessimism, resignation, or enlightenment, but before I knew it, I couldn't go to work and ended up falling asleep. But I woke up from a strange dream. It was about the events in the hospital just before my father passed away. In the midst of his fading consciousness, my father raised his little finger on his right hand, so I entwined my finger with his. We made a pinky promise. At that moment, even though we couldn't exchange words, I intended to make a promise. To live on firmly. To be happy. My mother passed away from cancer when I was in elementary school. My father poured all his love into his daughter who had lost her mother, and he showed me his desperate struggle to live until his life's flame went out. At that time, I was a third-year high school student. It was too early to lose my parents. I can never forget the moment my father took his last breath. Since that scene appeared exactly as it was in my dream, I was surprised. That's right, I have to keep the promise with my father. I promised to live on firmly. I woke up from the dream and made up my mind. I stamped the divorce papers and decided to get divorced. Of course, I still have some lingering feelings, and there are many anxieties about the future. But I believe that something good is bound to happen. As long as I don't give up on living. That's what I decided to believe. I resolved to fulfill what my father had taught me through his own experiences. It's strange how once you make a decision, you feel a sense of clarity and surprise yourself. After that, I quit my job and decided to make the most of the remaining time, starting treatment through home therapy. The people at my company were shocked when they learned about my illness, but my boss tried to secure a place for me and said, "Come back. We'll be waiting. Okay, don't give up." It was a tremendously grateful statement. I want to go back, but it's probably impossible. But it's okay to hold on to hope, right? Yes, I will come back. Definitely. And so, my battle against the illness began. To ensure I have no regrets in life, I created a bucket list of things I wanted to do in the remaining months and planned how to spend each day to achieve them. I traveled to the places I wanted to visit, indulged in the foods I had been craving, met up with friends I longed to see, and even visited my parents' graves. And then, after 6 months since the discovery of cancer, came the results of my checkup. The doctor tilted their head in confusion and with a puzzled expression said, "You know, this is quite unprecedented, but the cancer cells have actually shrunk. It might be possible to remove them through surgery." A miracle had occurred. I was able to completely remove all the diminished cancer cells. It was an unexpected turn of events, and the miracles continued. The blog I had been writing during my battle with illness received a tremendous response, and Barbara, a former colleague from the publishing industry who had seen it, offered me a job.
Could you write a column for the Women's Health magazine I'm currently working on? There are so many people dealing with cancer these days, right? I believe your positive words can help and inspire many. Please, I'm begging you.
Me, writing a column? No way.
It's not a lie. Your Slice of Life blog has gained a huge following. I'll support you. So, please.
This was an unimaginable development for me, who had been at rock bottom just a few months ago. And now, 3 years have passed since being diagnosed with cancer. I have recovered smoothly without any relapses. During that time, an even more unexpected event occurred. It turns out, the column I reluctantly started has surprisingly received positive feedback, and it has been decided to publish it. To commemorate the publication, my former boss and barber organized a bookstore event. It was during that event when something else happened. There was a little boy crying all alone. "What's wrong, little one?" When I approached him, he said,
I got separated from my dad.
"I see. Shall we look for him together?" I searched the store with the boy.
There he is, Daddy Lee.
I'm glad we found him. When I looked at the face of the little boy's father, I couldn't believe it. It was undoubtedly Bruno. "Hey, is that your dad? How old are you?"
Yet, that's my dad. Today's my 5th birthday.
"What? Wait a minute. We separated 3 years ago. Wait, could it be?" When Bruno saw my face, he quickly took the child's hand and ran away. In other words, when he found out about my illness, he already had a child. Well, no wonder he wanted a divorce. Bruno had a terrified look on his face, as if he had seen a monster. I mean, I was given only 10 months to live, and it has been 3 years since then. He must have thought I was long gone. And to see his supposedly deceased ex-wife with his son, he probably thought they were being taken away. A while after that incident, Bruno's friend Carl informed me about something. It seems Bruno had a long-standing relationship with another woman, even after marrying me.
I didn't know either. Bruno is secretive like that. But suddenly, he's walking with another woman and even has a child with him. So I confronted him. He reluctantly confessed, as if he had no choice. "I'm sorry, Anna. I'm ashamed as a friend."
It's not your fault. Don't worry about it. I was foolish not to notice. 2. After that, I don't know what happened to Bruno. But now I realize that if I had stayed married to him, I would have continued to be deceived. I wonder how my life would have turned out if I hadn't gotten cancer. Well, it's better not to have it in the first place. Somehow, this miracle doesn't seem like a coincidence. It feels like my parents were looking out for me, as if they were protecting me. It was an incredibly difficult and challenging battle against the illness, but even so, I am happy now. I can see that I have this moment because of the support of many people. I want to live my new life, born from this miracle, to the fullest.